The English Riviera, sun, sea and a football club who've experienced it all. Torquay United were a penalty away from the EFL in 2021, but in the last 12 months the club has been plunged into administration and will be playing regional football for the second consecutive season. But with new hope on the horizon, we ventured to Plainmoor to speak to supporters to hear their story.
To be honest, if you're a Torquay fan, you are a little bit of a weirdo, and there's 2,000 of us here and it's brilliant.
It's just something different about the football club. I know everyone says that, but it's a very unique club. Any club in the Southwest is really, because you're just so far away from everything else. And of course, Torquay, people think Fawlty Towers and Helen Chamberlain and all that through the 90s and 2000s. So it's just always been like a football club people like going to, mainly because in a way they're on the seaside, and then you travel back up with 3 points usually. So it's just always been the case. I think people do generally like Torquay.
From a penalty away from the EFL to relegation to the National League South, what went wrong?
I mean, Ashton Gate was, we're all still struggling with it really. It was that close.
The final was ridiculous, to have 2 goals wrongly ruled out, to have your keeper score go from probably the highest you're going to have as a football fan to then the lowest of losing on penalties.
The end of that game, it was very late in the summer because the season was delayed because of COVID. All our best players left. I'm not convinced that the budget was there to replace them, and what we replaced them with just wasn't ever going to be good enough. The manager, unfortunately, I think had probably had his best times at the club, and it was a very steep downhill slide from there, really.
You know, losing the playoff final, it's so hard to rebuild a club after that, and it just changed needs to come quicker, and then eventually all of the off-field troubles come to light, and it just became a very, very unpleasant place over the last couple of years.
Clarke Osborne, what was his role in the demise?
Clarke Osborne should never be allowed within a million miles of a professional sports club.
I mean, obviously you're own on, you're in charge. I mean, he admitted he was never a football fan. He was a property developer and he's a petrol head. But at the end of the day, even if you're not doing the day-to-day running, you need to put good faith into people who are going to run the football club, engage with the community, have good football intelligence off the pitch. And he just, frankly, there wasn't that there.
He has got a record of trying to make money out of property deals, examples being Bristol Rovers, Poole Speedway, Swindon Speedway, and he thought he could come here and do it. I don't know why he thought that, because he was never going to get the freehold of Plainmoor and he was never going to be able to build houses here. The guy is a businessman and he's got no interest in football, or I don't think Torquay.
Did the club even try and communicate with supporters?
Not at all. No, it was always very virtue signalling. It never felt like it was genuine.
Every week they put out a tweet saying you're not allowed to settle flares in the ground. But that's probably about the size of it. The Supporters Trust organised a meeting in November. There was only about 100 people there, online and in person, but the club immediately that night released a statement slagging off the leadership of the Supporters Trust. And they said, we're going to have a fans forum. There was no fans forum. It never happened. They did some lame online thing where 3 of them sat on a sofa and said One Club United. The communication was abysmal, and the reason for that is they didn't care.
When we brought banners, they took banners away. It was very much almost like a propaganda feel that everything's happy, shiny and amazing behind that things were so unhappy. And fans, they protested in the right way. Eventually it come to a head a few months ago now when he decided to pull the funding.
When the news came that the club had been placed into administration, how did you feel?
I was worried. I was really worried because you kind of felt the day was coming, but you didn't know what was going to happen next. There was a sort of a vague hope that maybe things could be better. They couldn't get any worse. I felt as though we were probably going to be in a sort of Phoenix Club territory.
From a personal point of view, to be on BBC Radio, like 5 Live, talking about football club was ridiculous, and it showed how much actually attention there was on our football club.
Whether the club deserved it or not, people put their hands in their pockets and they helped to pay the players' wages. The first game after Osborne said he was going to put us into administration was Aveley at home. We went from like barely 2,000, I think, to nearly 4,000 in the ground, and that actually was like a good indicator that there was still something there that people wanted to support.
As scary as it was very heartwarming at the same time, actually, to see us all come together. And I just always had a feeling back in my mind something would get sorted out.
Just a matter of weeks ago now, the Bryn Consortium were confirmed as the new owners of Torquay United Football Club. What was that moment like? Was it a huge relief?
Yeah, it's euphoric, really.
Absolutely fantastic. I mean, they're all Torquay fans, they're all successful businessmen.
I'm not involved in the Supporters Trust other than being a member of it, but I've had a few conversations with sort of board members there, and the Bryn Consortium were always the people that the trust wanted to take over. That was good enough for me, and I mean, since they've done so, it's been like chalk and cheese.
We've had more engagement in like 2 days than we had the whole time. And I'm so excited already, also getting Warnock in, getting Wootton in, the manager, and already we're signing players who are Southwest based, who are assets potentially for the football club going forward. Everything's a gamble in football, of course. Getting experienced signings in as well, just that community embracing Torquay in the Southwest. It's just, honestly, it feels like a dream. It feels like a dream.
You really get the feeling that, it's an awful phrase, but we are all in it together again. The fans are a huge part of this football club, and I believe that the consortium members are all supporters, and they're just doing everything right so far in terms of communication and making people feel they've got something to be proud of again, really.
Instantly, as soon as people talk about Neil Warnock, you know, it's just like Rooney going Plymouth and then bringing them down here. It's just like, as soon as people hear Warnock and names like that, I suddenly want to go to Torquay, and you know, that's what we need to do now.
I'm 56 and I've been watching Torquay United a long time, but this does feel like a really good opportunity to press on now.
What would be your message to the new owners now?
I mean, just keep doing what you're doing, really. That has been my message.
It would be lovely to get promotion first time, but it's not the be all and the end all. If you can put us in a position where we're getting back towards being, I say back towards, it's probably never happened, we're getting towards being sort of self-funding and self-sufficient as a football club. That is the most important thing, I think.
These days only used to happen on my football manager days, but now they're actually happening in real life. Yeah, day by day, and I'm ever so proud to, you know, I'm always proud to be a Torquay fan, but I'm really proud to show it off more so now.
What is it that makes Torquay United so special?
It's funny, I think to answer that question, you kind of need to listen to what other people say, because it doesn't matter where you go in the country. You can go to Rochdale, you can go to Altrincham, you can go all over the place, and everybody on some level likes Torquay United. They've all been down here, they've had a weekend down here, they've enjoyed themselves, they remember when we were a Football League club. There's so much goodwill out there. Sometimes being a bit closer to it, you struggle to understand it sometimes, but fair play. I think we're a popular football club.
But it's just a unique underdog football club. The amount of great escapes, the amount of special memories, where it is in the country, just the community aspect of it. It's just unique. You just can't write it, really. It's just something different about the club. I absolutely love it, and I feel it's in the best place going forward.